Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we are going to do a champion spotlight, so let's get into it and show off a new hero. Today we will be going over Idrill, the Wild Elf caster, a very interesting champion, as usual, beautifully designed. So we'll go over her kit, her stats, and then you guys can do what you want past that. So coming in with hit points, she has 1.7 million health. That's about mid-pack for AOM characters. Her speed is 219, not horrible. Her armor is 13k, magic damage resistance 38k. Basic magic damage is 161k, magic critical hit chance 36k, and magic critical damage 274k. We'll go over her stats, her in-depth stats, that way you guys can pause it wherever you want if you want to look at anything specific. Here they are. Everything you need to know. You guys can just pause it wherever you want and look at anything in depth. Normally I would refer to the AOM database if you want to compare it to other champions. You can still do that, but it looks like the AOM database is not being updated anymore. So I'll try and find a new thing to allow people to compare their champions. So we'll jump over into little battles and we'll show off her abilities and what she can do. And yeah, that will be it. So coming in with her basic attack, Forest Shot damages one target, has a 20% chance per wild elf in the party to prevent reduction to her initiative for one turn. So if you have a full team of wild elves, you got a 100% chance of that effect landing, and triggers the caster class mark. To be honest, surprised they even put those in anymore. Marks aren't really a thing, but anyway, not the topic. So we're going to use the basic attack against Abaddon, just see what the visual effects are like. Beautiful, pretty nice looking attack. Pretty straightforward, doesn't do anything really special, but it's nice that her initiative can't be reduced. So yeah, pretty nice. Let's move on and look at her specials now. Looking at her first special, Nymph Enchantment at level 7, reduces enemies' damage output for 20% for 3 turns, has a 20% chance per wild elf in the party to hide for 1 turn. If Idrill is already hidden, the duration she will hide for increases by 1. The ability comes in at a cooldown of 4. It's just a nice little support ability, so you're reducing the enemy's damage by 20%, which would go well with Colonel's passive, I believe, which reduces damage received to all wild elves and is it keepers of a rat or children of the forest? Either one, it works well. It's a lot of damage mitigation. So we're going to go ahead and use the ability against Siegfried, but it will affect everyone on the enemy team. There we go. Yep, there we go. It decreased the attack of all 3 enemies there, and it hit her. So that's really good. Going to prevent people from attacking her. With her low health, that would help as well. So yeah, just a nice little support ability. Could it be improved? 3 turns is pretty decent. I think a 3-turn reduction is always good. I like to see the number 3. 1 turn just seems so useless. Hiding her for 1 turn. The thing is, she's a support healer, so it's effective, but it's not at the same time because the enemy is going to be focusing either a tank if you've got Taunt up or a healer. So the chances of her being focused is very low. Might be more effective for a defense team where the player versing you could select her as a target. Would they do that though when they would focus the healer anyway? So yeah, it's a nice little thing. Doesn't really add a whole lot to her, but doesn't take much away from her either. Looking at her second special, Captivate damages one target, reduces target speed by 25% for 2 turns. All enemies will be unable to hide from attacks for 2 turns, including hiding behind a tank. The ability comes in with a 5-turn cooldown at max level, so pretty high cooldown, but it's a pretty effective move to be able to attack past taunts, especially with Magnus out at the moment, is pretty nifty. Triggers the caster class mark as well, not important. We'll see the animation here, so this should not take the taunt away, but it will allow us to attack. That's the debuff you want to see, the little target on the small man. I think that's what it is. I don't know. Either way, that's what you want to see. So I can attack anyone on the enemy team now, even Balara, who's, unwritten passive is she's hidden from combat. until she's the last person on the field. So that's really nifty. I like abilities like that. So pretty good support ability for her, especially being able to attack past tanks. Like I said, with Magnus out, who has a lot of taunting, this could be very effective, and it would help definitely take out those Mabes or even cages if people are using cage anymore, and help you get the damage on the targets you want to eliminate, like Sakrif, who would be protected from Magnus. Moving on to her final special ability, Oblivion Pollen. The target and 2 random targets miss a turn and can't make support attacks for 2 turns or until they are a damage, or until they take damage. There's a 20% chance per wild elf in the party to increase the damage the target will take from the next attack by 15%. So some nice things in here, but some things that could be changed a little bit. I like that this affects 3 targets. It's a bit of like a succubus vibe going here. A cool way that this could have been changed, however, is that the initial target, so for example, when I use this ability against Siegfried, as he's got his taunt up at the moment, I wish that the initial target was missed 2 turns, and then the other 2 random targets missed 1 turn. You're blasting pollen in this target's face, and then the off spray puts the other 2 to sleep as well, or stuns them, or whatever you want to call it. So it'd be cool to see that affect the main target a little bit more. Support attacks, can't make support attacks. That's really cool. That'd be nice to use against like Cage or Suna. Obviously, Suna, she's far more viable than Cage at the moment. Not saying that people don't use Cage. It's just, Suna. I don't like that gets interrupted if they're attacked. There's just a lot of AoE attacks in the game at the moment, and there'll always be a lot of AoE attacks. It's it's just the way it is. So I don't like that. The targets that will prevent the effect of this ability from damage being output, because that would be really good to use against Suna. Obviously, when you're fighting Suna, this ability Suna would be hidden by this point. So the chances of it landing on Suna is, what is it? 25%. So there you go. So I'm sure it will do its job. And then the damage taken, the target will take an extra 15% damage from the next attack. That's pretty cool. Could be a little bit higher, but it is what it is. So let's see the ability being used in action. Oblivion Pollen being used against Siegfried. Beautiful big dust of pollen. A wave of pollen gets sprayed out, and there you go. There it is. The 3 targets were affected, and it's got a new debuff icon there indicating that they will miss their next turn. And if we go into attack, let's use Feral Onslaught, get rid of the taunt from Siegfried. Does a lot of damage there. And yeah, by the looks of it, it looks like attacking them even gets rid of the pollen, the stun. Let's double check. Just auto attack. Yeah, so auto attacking gets rid of the stun as well. That's I'm not a fan of that. That's a bit disappointing. I feel like that should be an ability. Let's just double check. It's not a bug. We're just going to auto attack until Siegfried's turn comes around. Is he going to be able to cast an ability? He casts an ability. That is very interesting. I wish that was just a permanent miss a turn. I feel like you lose a lot from the ability by the attack taking away the miss a turn. It's not a stun, it's not a freeze, it's not even a skip turn. It's literally, if you attack them, you take the debuff away. So that weakens her significantly. Still cool, it hits 3 targets, but then you have to take into account fortifying and stuff like that. So you got to be really careful with how you play this ability. You use it on a target, you're going to try not to attack that target. So there's a big downfall with her, and Oblivion Pollen, so just watch out for that. So, Idrill, she has some nice quirks about her, some stuff that could use reinforcing, like the stun thing or the miss-turn, whatever you want to call it. I feel like that should be guaranteed. The target will miss a turn. It just makes much more sense. I don't like that if you attack them, they lose that debuff. The who would she work well with? She would work well with Colonel and Lucky, simply because of Nymph Enchantment. So it reduces enemies' damage output by for 20% for 3 turns. So that's pretty good damage mitigation. Mix that with Lucky, who can increase defense or decrease damage taken by 50%. I think it's decreased damage taken by 50%. So again, that's a lot of damage mitigation. And Colonel's passive as well, which reduces damage received by Keepers of a Rat and Wild Elves, which is Lucky. Lucky is a Keeper of a Rat. So these 3 would work really well together. They would synergize well off each other. She would work well with Egnor as well, because of Captivate. So damages one target, reduces speed, whatever. All enemies will be unable to hide from attacks for 2 turns, including hiding behind a tank. So she can allow you to attack through Taunt, where Egnor, he has the ability on his second special to remove buffs off a target. So if you rotate that with this, you can also remove a taunt from a target, preventing the taunt from being an effect, and you can attack whoever you want, assuming that the target's not hiding. So, if you are trying to kill a target like Sakrif, for example, who's hiding behind a Magnus, you could rotate this. You could use Egnor to remove Magnus's taunt, and then if the taunt comes back up again, you could use Captivate to allow yourself to attack past that. I'm not saying that this faction would be useful against an Archon team, but you see what I'm trying to say, the mindset there. So the stun is just nice, but you've got to be really careful on how you use it and who you use it against, because using an AoE is just going to void it altogether. You can prevent her initiative being reduced, which is nice off the basic attack, assuming you're running a full high Wild Elf squad, which you probably will not, because Lucky is just a healer you would need for this squad. And it depends how effective the Wild Elf healer is. You could remove Lucky, and then you have a full Wild Elf team. So yeah, neat character. Would be interesting to see how people use her, and if she's effective against anything currently in the game meta-wise. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.